What is going on, guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another Zombies video, where today for you I have the loading screen, the ending page for, I believe it's comic issue 4 for Zombies. So we're going to be taking a look at that, breaking it down, see what we can figure out about this, because it's very interesting. If you've been staying up to date with the Zombies comics, as you will know, we've been getting previous maps. For example, we've had the Nuketown Zombies loading screen, a loading screen with a mixture of Mob of the Dead and Nakda and Toten, and we've also had one for Ascension. Those were for comics 1, 2, and 3, and now, just yesterday, issue 4 was released, and this, what you see now, is the loading screen that was given to us. What the hell is going on? This isn't like any other loading screen we've had before. This kind of like a story being told in this. Usually it's just, you know, a loading screen of one older map with a few things changed, but in here we have a mixture of Varuk, Numa, Darius, Nakda, and Toten. So anyways, as always, if you go on to enjoy the video, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for the support, so if you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, make sure you do that to stay up to date with the latest Zombies videos on the channel. Here we go. If you are wondering, I will also be doing a separate video talking about the whole comic itself, because it's got some very juicy and interesting stuff in there to do with the Canorian, Maxis, Richtofen, and the transit crew. But this loading screen itself deserves a whole video because this is interesting. Now, as you see in the middle, we've got the dates 1930, 1940, and 1943. And actually, we've got arrows pointing backwards, which is showing that time is in reverse. That instead of going forward, moving forward through the images of this loading screen, we are in fact moving backwards. And what I believe it's in fact showing us is that when Richtofen killed himself in the Giant, the past was changed. What happened before the Giant, because Richtofen killed himself, all the events that Richtofen was involved in, because he now no longer existed, the past was altered, and so these events that happened in Nakda and Toten, Varuk, Numa, without Richtofen ever being alive, the whole scenario in these maps changes, and the events that we know and love, and Varuk, the asylum with Group 935 and the experiments they were doing, Numa in Division 9, Nakda and Toten with the down plane, and the Marines locked in that tiny little building, all of those events no longer exist and have changed. And so since we're going back in time from 1943 to 1930, we have to start from the end, which is Richtofen killing himself, and go all the way to the left, which will be Nakda and Toten. So we have the Giant intro screen where Richtofen comes out of the teleporter, the Origins version, and shoots the older version of himself in the head. And it seems like because Richtofen has killed himself because he no longer exists, the past is now altered. The best example I can give you guys is on Family Guy, when Stewie goes into the past with Brian. He tells Brian, don't touch anything, don't alter anything, because even if you move a rock, it can change the biggest things in the future. So it seems when Richtofen killed himself, the whole past events that involved Richtofen were changed. And we see in these images what actually would have happened in these maps if Richtofen wasn't to exist. So we go from Richtofen killing himself, we then go back in time to this next image, which seems to be Richtofen coming out of the teleporter in the Giant. The strange thing is, he kind of looks like a bit of a robot. I mean, you compare the Giant loading screen of Richtofen coming out to what we see in this new image. For some reason, this version of Richtofen, if it is Richtofen, it looks like a robot. I don't know why that is. But then we go to the top right and we see the changes that have happened because Richtofen now no longer exists. The past has changed. First off, we see Numa, and Peter Mccain is no longer hanging there. I assume because Richtofen is dead, because he no longer exists, that also means that maybe Group 935 doesn't exist, or as we know, Richtofen plays a big part in Group 935. He is the assistant of Dr. Maxis, so who knows what would have happened with Group 935 if Richtofen was to never be involved. Maybe 935 wasn't a success and just ended up ending badly. We really don't know. But we do see, because Richtofen is dead, this now means that in Numa, Peter Mccain was never hung. He never parachuted down, he was never captured by Division 9, he doesn't end up in this location. We then move over to the next image, which is of Varuk. We see the fountain, but it seems like Group 935 was never operational here. First off, we have someone in the courtyard playing baseball. We also then see someone on the balcony getting pushed in a wheelchair. We know that Varuk originally was a mental asylum for patients to go to get looked after. And that's exactly what it seems like. It's just a normal asylum that these patients are being sent to, and we have one of the patients in the courtyard playing baseball. In fact, it looks like Group 935, without Richtofen's existence, never operated at the Rucht. And then we go to the left image, and I've had a long hard think about what this could be, and actually, I think this is Nakdur and Toten, because Richtofen never existed. Maybe the zombie outbreak never happened at Nacht. For that reason, the bomber that we see on fire outside the bunker never crashed. And actually, Nakdur and Toten is still a working airfield. Hence why we see the plane is still on the runway. In the background, we have that big moon, that big anonymous moon that we see in Nakdur and Toten. You can see it in this image. We have it in the background behind this crash plane. But on this new loading screen, this plane never crashed because the zombie outbreak simply never happened here. It never happened because Richtofen ceased to exist. Or at least the older version that caused all of this at the Rucht, Shino Numa, Nakdur and Toten to happen. That is really, really interesting. I know there's a lot of people saying, well, is this a hint towards DLC 5? Does DLC 5 even exist? I honestly don't know. I don't want to talk about that. But what this is showing is that because Richtofen killed himself in the Giants, he travelled forward in time into the future, and as I said with my example earlier, if you change something in the future, then everything in the past that involved this character Richtofen changes, and that's exactly what's happened. So, there we go guys, that is this video for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Is really damn interesting. Remember, probably later today or tomorrow I'm also going to have another video on the rest of the comic. We've got some real juicy stuff to get through, so make sure you are staying tuned, make sure you are subscribed, leave a like rating, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.